Yeah, him
Some
and
hot
Oberman.
dogs are ready. Don't know where that came from. I have to thank you, Justin Robert Young.
For what? Why?
This is gonna embarrass you.
Stop it.
But you were my inspiration for doing Pretend I'm Dumb About Star Wars.
What?
And I channeled your one-man show talents as much as I could.
I for whatever reason, and I think it definitely is a compliment. This is like the third or fourth time that people that I know that are great kind of broadcasters, great podcasters that have done single mic things and said that they took inspiration from the jury show thing.
Yeah. Especially the one at Nerdtacular. That was the one that really got me. I was like, damn, that's good.
Oh yeah, no, the one man show.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, thank you. Yeah, Garrett said something similar.
It's been fun.
It's hard, man. It's
different mind space altogether.
Yeah, and it's what's hard about it is not losing yourself in the weeds of like, oh, is this boring? Am I like you can't listen to yourself, right? You just have to detach your I'm listening and I'm talking sense.
And there's no one there. I mean, I'm not even doing it live, right? So there's no one there at all reacting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you guys both have each other to talk to,
I know.
on this show.
No.
The half-hour-long Daily Show premiered on July 21st, 1996, and Craig Kilborn only hosted it for 2 years.
Wow, it was only 2 years. That's crazy.
1998 when Jon Stewart took over in 1999.
All right. Shall we do a little tech news?
Hey, let's go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, you video people, you get a little soft opening here. I hope you don't mind. Just easing you in. Here we go.
Easing the tension.
If you would like to donate to the Daily Tech News Show, simply go to dailytechnewsshow.com/donate. Donate via Patreon monthly or just once via Bitcoin or PayPal. If you want a t-shirt, go to slashloot.com. Thank you.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, December 10th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Justin Robert Young of so many things, including the DTNS Night Attack, jury show. I could go on if I could remember them all.
Well, this is the only one that matters today, and the only one that ever matters in my heart is Daily Tech News Show.
Oh, please. Oh, please.
Yeah, no, listen, you really put together a fine program here, Tom.
Well, thanks. I like to think we all have. We've worked together like a family raising a barn of tech news.
Indeed. And with hay in our hair and a song in our hearts, we now bring you the tech news.
As SP Sheridan posted in our subreddit, The Guardian reports Australian... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page. That's yesterday's news. Following on Google open sourcing of its deep learning engine, TensorFlow Thursday morning, Facebook announced it will open source designs for its Big Sur computer server. Big Sur uses 8 GPU boards with dozens of chips on each to run AI algorithms. Facebook designed the machine with manufacturer Quanta and GPU maker NVIDIA. So now you can run your open source Google deep learning, theoretically, on an open designed Facebook machine.
So think about that.
This is one of the interesting moments for open source for me, because for a long time in the 90s especially, there was a lot of doubt about what open source could do. And Red Hat was one of the companies that came along and showed you could build a real successful business on it. And now it's become the default for emergent technologies to say, well, we could try to work on this ourselves, but it'll actually be a better product and make us more money if we open source it and get a lot of other people working on it, because we'll find bugs faster, it'll improve faster, and then we'll be able to use a better product. And Facebook and Google are competing with each other to give away designs and code.
Well, and being strategic about it and understanding where this will benefit them. And really, I mean, it is a very internet concept, right? Like
Yeah.
that it is with the meeting of all of our minds that we get something better. Speaking of Facebook, they're testing a way to keep the news feed fresh and allow commenting even when a user doesn't have a data connection. Facebook will rank downloaded but unviewed stories based on relevancy and factor in image availability. When data connection is slow or lost, relevant unread stories are displayed instead of a spinner. Comments can be made while offline and cached locally until a data connection is reestablished. Facebook says it will roll out the new feature, quote unquote, over time.
Part of this story feels like it's a great thing. Oh, if I'm in a country that doesn't have ubiquitous data connections, let's say, or I'm in the subway, I will still be able to get something new out of my Facebook. But part of me already just has always been uncomfortable with Facebook messing with the chronological order of the news feed, and kind of hate it when Twitter does that too. And so how do I keep track if I've actually read stuff and it's fooling me? I may think I'm online because it's like, oh, well, I didn't see that before. Oh, wait, that's just an older post that I hadn't read yet. I don't know. It kind of messes with you a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a legitimate reason for it, and then there is a more self-serving reason for both Twitter and Facebook to take things out of chronological order. Number one, we have more data than we ever have before. People tend to follow more and more people, and sometimes it's a little untenable to see literally everything that gets posted. But if they screw with what you are seeing, and it is not just time-wise, then they can put things there for a price, like ads or boosting posts, which is something that Facebook has, I think, rightfully gotten a lot of criticism for, because now they're not beholden to the idea that everything needs to be chronological.
Well, yeah, and Twitter is starting to test out the idea of putting ads to people who aren't logged in, which they've never done before. So everybody's trying to get ads in front of people's faces more often. I kind of think that this has more to do with keeping people using Facebook. If you make it feel like you can use Facebook more often, even when you don't really have a data connection, then people will, that just gets people to spend more time at Facebook, which has that knock-on effect of putting ads in.
Although the one thing that you have to look at twice with this is, you know, how much is it downloading, and for people with data caps or limited data, does this make Facebook more of a hog?
Yeah, I mean, you could think, oh, a few newsfeed posts, that's not much. Well, if they have some images in, it could be. And if you're on a really limited data plan, even a bunch of news feeds posts could start to add up, or at least, you know, edge you up a little farther. So yeah, that is something to keep an eye on as well. Insta correction. It's Thursday. I think I said Wednesday. Google is rolling out collaborative shared albums for Google Photos today, according to a company blog post. Like before, an album can be shared with just a link, but recipients of the link can now choose the option to add their own photos and videos and get notifications when new pics are added. Plus, photos and videos from a shared album can be saved to your Google Photos library, even if you're the recipient. Shared albums is available for Android, iOS, and the web starting today, along with Chromecast support if you want to put those albums up on your television. I tried this with my sister, and she said, "Oh, I denied the request to participate." So maybe it was just the wrong time. But otherwise it worked.
Yeah, photos for Google, like even going back to Picasa, has always been something that they have done well, and yet, you know, they're not known for. You know, that they don't necessarily have a brand for it, and maybe it is because they jettisoned, you know, the fairly beloved Picasa brand in favor of Google Photos.
I would have to say, though, that just the fact, and this isn't new here, but just the fact that I can share an album and now collaborate on an album of photos with just a link warms my standards cross-platform loving heart. I don't have to use a fancy JavaScript share button. I can just get a link, and then I can do whatever I want with it. If I want to put it in an email or a text message or whatever. And maybe that's just kind of old school, but it works for me.
Well, and it's what Google does well. I mean, there's a reason why they have remained the standard in terms of, you know, we're reading all these stories on a Google spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That we use it because it's super easy to do.
Though they don't always do that stuff well. You know, their search results often, when you right click to save the link, give you some tracking URL instead of the actual link.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the
stuff like that annoys me. My wife works for Google.
Sorry about that. Anyway, it's just a crazy Wednesday here. PC Mag reports a new Flickr app for Gear VR highlights 360-degree photos from Flickr. Flickr claims tens of thousands of 360-degree photos have been uploaded over the years. You can get the Flickr VR app from the Store tab at the bottom of Oculus Home.
So you have to have a Gear VR, obviously, but that makes perfect sense for Flickr. We've got tons of 360-degree, and sometimes I'm not saying 360-degree to mean a spherical or pi r steradian or whatever it is, like actual just panoramic videos. And you can or photos. You can go look at those in your browser too, but why not take advantage of Gear VR for the people that have it? Seems smart.
I mean, it is smart. I just don't know whether or not this is going to be the thing that people want to use VR for. You know, I think we still need one more layer.
Yeah, this is the thing that people who have a Gear VR go, ooh, I have something new to use my Gear VR for today. Not the thing that people go, oh, I've always used my Gear VR for Flickr VR. It's kind of a passing fad, I think.
Sure.
CNET reports that Chromecast Audio has 2 new updates. Multi-room music is now supported, so taking on Sonos a little bit there. If you group speakers under one name in your Chromecast app, you can stream to all of them at once. Chromecast Audio also supporting higher resolution music files, up to 24-bit 96 kilohertz over Wi-Fi. What was that? I can't hear you because I'm playing awesome high-res music all over my house, Justin.
This is a fascinating attack on Sonos because Sonos is high-end technology. They want to inhabit that kind of Bang & Olufsen, sound matters. You've seen in all of their ads, Rick Rubin and other people who are noted audiophiles being very particular about exactly how they want their speakers to sound, and it is by and large a very, very well-reviewed product. But Chromecast takes that on the other end. They're a fairly cheap a solution that does the really cool thing that Sonos does.
With your Bang & Olufsen speakers, perhaps, right? You don't have to buy a speaker from Google. You can use this with whatever speakers you've got. In fact, we're using Chromecast Audio with Sonos speakers and the line-in input. And I found that I go to the Chromecast tab way more often because I don't have to go into the Sonos app and then find the thing and then play the thing and then, oh, I've changed the queue. I can just press a cast button. It's more convenient.
They still haven't done Apple Music, right? Am I missing?
December 15th, Apple Music comes to Sonos.
Oh, my Lord. So only 5 more days in this nightmare of not having my Apple Music on my Sonos can be over. Otherwise, I'm just going to get it.
Great national nightmare.
Yeah, it's terrible. Hey, listen, everybody, please pity me. Send me a tweet that says, Justin, you're a real brave hero. Meanwhile, I'll read you this story. Wired reports Baidu announced its autonomous BMW 3 Series car successfully navigated an 18.6-mile complicated route through Beijing. The route included side streets and highways, making turns, U-turns, lane changes, and passing other cars. Baidu says it's aiming first for autonomous vehicles that will be limited geographically, like for a bus route. Reuters adds Samsung said Wednesday it'll create a team to develop in-car entertainment, satellite navigation, and other autonomous driving technology.
I would say that later this month, on December 31st, when we do our prediction show, some self-driving car predictions seem like fallow ground.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see, whether or not we see a few of those predictions. I question on whether or not this actually happened, and it's not just Baidu saying it did because the fog in Beijing is so thick.
You think that the car was? I mean, there's video of the car, but you think that the car might have just like ran through some cars and people and nobody could tell.
It's like look, the autonomous car went through a big smog cloud.
You just couldn't see the driver.
Hop.
He doesn't. I don't know. Does he have? Okay. All right. Enough with your Chinese pollution jokes. I actually do think this is great. The idea of Baidu getting in on this. We have more people than ever working on autonomous cars. We are going to have autonomous cars, not even just within our lifetime, Justin. We're going to have them soon. And Samsung's incredibly smart, positioning themselves as a supplier of parts. If they, eventually make a car too, possibly. But Samsung makes a lot of money selling sensors and chips and parts, and so this makes sense for them to develop a team that works on that now before it gets big.
So the question is, where do we start to see the application for it? And that's something that I'm sure we will talk about in our prediction.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice of Baidu, right? To say, you know what, we're not going to go right like Google, right to the end game. We're going to start with something that's a little more limited, like geographical bus routes and stuff like that. That may prove to be a wise choice as well.
They also have a shorter route to having these out in the streets, because Baidu is to do business in China, you are best to be a Chinese company, and Baidu getting governmental approval to do stuff seems like a quicker path than it would take even here with a company like Tesla or Google in California.
EU Justice Commissioner Vera Jourova said Thursday that a new safe harbor deal to allow easier data transfer between Europe and the United States will include a suspension clause that could be activated under what she called concrete conditions. The EU is seeking certain privacy guarantees from the United States. Commissioner Jourova said she hoped the deal would be in place by January. She's very optimistic.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty speedy timetable.
Yeah, could happen.
Sure.
Anything could happen.
Automatic launched a Windows app for WordPress. The app works with any WordPress.com site or a WordPress install with Jetpack installed. A WordPress app for OS X was launched on November 23rd. A Linux version is coming soon.
WordPress powers what we heard, like 25% of websites, of the top 10,000 websites. So this is a big deal for people. Having it on OS X was interesting. Having it on Windows means you get it on the majority of machines that are administering WordPress. It's a lovely piece of software. They rewrote WordPress.com from the ground up to make this work. And when it comes to Linux, it'll be cross-platform, the three major platforms. Automatic seems to be killing it right now.
Absolutely. No, this is a huge thing, and WordPress won. If you look at the battle for who would be the dominant way to make websites, WordPress has done a fantastic job.
Captain Kipper sent us the Reuters report that Wal-Mart has launched its own mobile payment service Thursday called Wal-Mart Pay. The service will be available on Apple and Android devices, so iOS and Android, allow payments with any major credit, debit, prepaid, or Walmart gift card, of course. Company had been co-developing the Currency mobile wallet with other retailers, and their new solution, similar to Currency, requires customers to scan a code on the register with their phone's camera in order to pay. It's not an NFC solution.
So we will finally get an answer to that age-old question: can apps gather physical dust?
Really? I mean, when Currency did this, I was 100% with you. Like, this is not, it's going to be hard enough. It's hard enough to get people with Apple Pay to pay, and it's dead simple. Something like this, I just don't see catching on very fast. But it's Walmart. Walmart has the massive numbers power. And you got a bunch of Android phones out there, a bunch of iOS phones out there now. Shopping at Walmart, you still don't think they can make people... You're right. I'm talking myself out of it.
No, yeah. The Walmart that I used to go to all the time in Florida had to take out the automated self-checkout machines because they were too complicated for the Walmart citizenry. I don't see them using a clunky app, let alone an app getting mass adoption.
Minor rant here. The other night, when my wife needed some Sudafed, and thanks to Senator Dianne Feinstein, I had to show my driver's license in order to purchase it because maybe I'm a meth maker. I don't know. It doesn't matter that my wife's miserable and needs Sudafed. I took 20 minutes to pay. Well, okay, it wasn't quite 20 minutes. It took way longer to pay because of the new chip card system at CVS wasn't working. You know what I could have done, CVS? Because you have NFC. I could have paid with Apple Pay and been done with it. But no, you turned that off because you're a Currency company. Thanks a lot, CVS. And Senator
spitting hot fire. Holy smokes. Normally even-tempered Tom Merritt goes on quite a diatribe.
It's a mini rant.
That's good.
You need decongestant. That's the last thing you want to do.
Oh no, it was the absolute worst. And Florida has the same thing where you can only buy X amount of boxes from each store. So God forbid you are a regular user of Sudafed and it makes you feel better and life is good when you have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, submit your stories to us. Let us know what you want us to talk about. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com is our subreddit, which has more than 5,000, almost 6,000 people in there, letting us know about cool stories and voting on each other's stories. It's a big old party. Tyler puts in topics in there sometimes in advance of the show, so you guys can kick those around before we even get to talking about it. It is a fantastic thing. Please go check it out, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. All right. I'm going to play. Here's some things CEO Brian Roberts of Comcast said yesterday at the Business Insider Ignition Conference. You ready?
Yeah.
He's talking about data caps. Henry Blodgett interviewing him. And Roberts said, well, just as with every other thing in your life, if you drive 100,000 miles or 1,000 miles, you buy more gasoline. You turn on the air conditioning down to 60 or from 72, you consume more electricity. Same's true for broadband usage. The more bits you use, the more you pay.
I like this bit, the tone deaf CEO bit that he's doing. That's a pretty good.
You think it's a bit? You think he's just having fun? No. Also, he said they're not a cap, these data caps. We don't want anybody to ever not want to stay connected on our network. And he's sort of right. They used to be a cap. Now they're just a limit after which you have to pay extra. So you have to pay $10 a month to get 50 gigabytes. In the places where Comcast has the limit, they don't have the limit everywhere. You can still pay $30 to $35 more a month for unlimited, so it's not as unreasonable. Recode also has a report today saying Verizon is testing toll-free data, where they allow the website or the service that's delivering the data to pay for the data so it doesn't count against your data cap or your data limit with Verizon. Thing is, Justin, data caps are just a business policy. So, I mean, most of the ISPs have stopped trying to say it's a congestion thing. There's lots of work out there, including posts from Comcast's own vice president of internet services saying, no, this doesn't have to do with easing congestion. If we wanted to ease congestion, we put limits in at times of peak congestion, or we do other kinds of things. What this is about is figuring out how to spend money. So now we hear Roberts saying, well, if you use a bit, you should pay for it. Is that so insensible?
It's not that it's necessarily insensitive, but I do think that it is a little bit ignorant toward the future, and you are sounding more like a company that is looking backwards than forwards. Right now, we see a burgeoning amount of how many people in the next couple weeks for the holidays are going to get 4K televisions. You are going to see a lot of downloading, both in purchasing and streaming, of big, high-resolution content that takes a lot of data. So it seems to me that you would be best, if you are in this game where there is more competition than there ever has been, that you would want to be the company that is listening to those customers that want more data, and really, just give a reasonable price. Figure out what the price is where people can use as much data as they can use for at a good speed. And
now, when we talk about using data, are we worried that Comcast will run out of data if we use too much of it?
Thankfully, we are beyond that particular argument, right? Like there's
well, but that's the thing. He's sort of beyond it, but he's saying, if you use gas, you got to buy more gas. Data isn't like gas. When I download a movie, it doesn't take the movie away. It doesn't even take the bits that brought me the movie away. All it does is use the system. Electricity is a little more similar, but at the same time, like there's a limit. Electricity has to be delivered and it has to be generated. Data is more like the highway. Like the more you use the highway, the more maintenance, and so it needs to be, maintained. And of course, if a lot of people are trying to use the highway at the same time, then it's, not as usable. But when you drive over the highway, the more miles you use, you don't take away the highway. It doesn't go away.
No.
So that's why we don't charge people by the mile on highways usually. Even toll roads just do kind of an access usually. Maybe if you drive more miles, they will charge you more. So maybe there is an analogy there. But gas and electricity are the wrong analogies. And I think people have been lured into this idea of like, oh, it's like water. If I use more data, I should pay for it, which kind of makes sense in your head. But that's not actually the way data works.
Yeah. So here's my question then. are we at? It feels like we're closer to a tipping point where people understand these things in a different way, but are we there yet? And if and when will then be now?
Well, and that's the thing, right? What these ISPs are trying to do, and I think it's reasonable for them to try to do it. Just don't give me a BS excuse. They're trying to come up with different ways of charging. And we are all comfortable with the idea of, okay, if I'm going to get 50 megabits per second, I pay this much. But if I wanted to have faster access, 100 megabits per second, I pay more. That does make sense. And that's the way it should work. But what ISPs have run into is, wow, it costs a lot more money to add the capacity to do 200 megabits per second than it does to just make up a data cap, because we don't have to change anything on our network or invest anything to create a data cap. It's free money. So they're trying to squeeze more margin out. And that's why they're trying to do this. It's perfectly natural for a business to want to do that, but it's also, I think, a symptom of the lack of competitiveness in the landscape too.
How much of these kinds of problems, and by that you mean kind of tone deaf explanations of why business policies are the way that they are, do you think is based on the idea that, Verizon's a telephone company, Comcast is a cable company. They are, everybody seems to come, even like people that we like Google and Google Fiber and everything. They're a ad sales company that is doing, everybody delivering internet right now seems to be doing other things that have brought them into this field, and now are these major players in this industry. But there's really very, very few, except for a few like I think smaller internet providers or ISPs. You don't really see a lot of homegrown companies that are only, hey, this is what the only thing that we do is provide internet to you.
Yeah. Well, and until these companies like Comcast and Verizon figure out other ways to have a growing bottom line for their shareholders, they are going to continue to try to figure out how to squeeze more money out of their existing internet infrastructure. The best thing that can happen is what's happening with Verizon, where they're buying AOL. And a lot of people think maybe they'll try to buy Yahoo, and they start to create a business that makes money off the internet and then eventually spin out their internet service providers to companies who are comfortable with being an infrastructure company rather than a growth profit company. Again, I shouldn't say it that way because every company wants to be a growth profit company, but infrastructure companies understand the curve of growth that they're on, and Verizon and Comcast, they want a steeper line.
Well, because also at the end of all these arguments, don't you always kind of feel like, or you could just watch cable. It's like, or you could just, upgrade your cell phone plan, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, Comcast is trying to walk that line very carefully of like, okay, don't make the cap so low that it's obvious we're nudging them into cable, but keep it right at the pressure point so that they're like, well, maybe I won't watch Netflix because I've only got, a couple more gigs left on my data cap for the month.
Yeah, it just seems so weird that there's just nobody in this space that is just to be there in that space,
I mean, there are a few, but it's very, very few. And it goes back to our net neutrality discussions of years ago, and I don't want to dig up that old saw again today necessarily. But if you have 5 ISPs to choose from, and some have data caps and some don't, then it becomes a healthy marketplace that can work itself out. If you have maybe one fiber place to choose from, one sort of high speed, and then one like unacceptably slow speed, that's not really choice.
Yeah. By the way, AT&T Fiber coming to Oakland.
Is it though? It's apparently already in LA, but not any zip codes I can find.
Oh, really?
There's a couple of conspiracy theories out there, but there's a couple of well-researched arguments saying AT&T is making a big deal out of their fiber when it's not rolled out in as many places as they want you to think. So they're like claiming LA and it's in one neighborhood in LA. So it will come to Oakland. I don't think they're lying to you about that. Just matter of when. I don't know, man. AT&T gets here first with gigabit over Google. I'll go AT&T for sure, no problem.
Oh no, I can't wait to cancel.
All right, let's take a look at our pick of the day from Chris in often misrepresented and misunderstood Jersey. Now, is that New Jersey or Jersey in England? They both could be misrepresented. He says, anyone shopping for cars should check out Alex on Autos at alexonautos.com or the aptly named Alex on Autos YouTube channel. Chris says, if you can get past his quirky mannerisms, Alex Dykes is one of the most detailed car reviewers online. Beyond subjective musings that most reviewers have, Alex goes the extra mile to painstakingly explain every little design detail, changes from previous models, how the cars stack up against the competition, and he'll often take on helpful sidebars to explain infotainment setups, important technology and safety designs. And then Chris gives an example of an Acura review where at one point in the video, he takes a break from the vehicle to explain an important difference between the two transmission setups on the different trim levels. So he goes way into this stuff. Anyhow, he says, I hope this is helpful to some listeners out there. I find the educational overview to be vastly more fulfilling than listening to someone peddle his or her opinion as fact. So there you go, Chris. alexonautos.com. If you're way into cars and want a really detailed car review, Chris says you ought to check it out.
Sounds great.
Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, our final message of the day comes from Brent in Minnesota, who says, as a person who has both an ag and an IT degree, and as a former farmer, I thought I'd give some feedback about using drones to spray crops. We talked about the $50,000 drone that has, I think, 8 heads and can spray crops. Brent said the benefits of air delivery: won't get stuck in the field, doesn't compact the soil, can more easily spray mature crops that grow wide like pumpkins or tall like corn. You don't need to put a pilot in, so it's a little bit safer. One person can deploy multiple drones in a field. You can use aerial survey maps to target spray a field for weed problems instead of broadcasting the entire thing. That saves you some money. No crop damage from driving over part of the crop like a terrestrial sprayer. And in the future, we could put visual capabilities on the drone to identify specific weeds we want to spray and only spray that and not the crop plants, keeping the chemicals out of the food supply. He says there's a couple of concerns I can think of. Different sprays require different gallons per acre. Some take 25 gallons an acre. That's a lot of refilling for a small tank on a drone. And how much wind they can take. He's like, not a huge concern. You don't want to spray in heavy winds anyway, but it is a bit of a concern. Brent says, you specifically asked if $50,000 was too much for spraying a drone. A new combine could cost $200,000 to $300,000 without heads, and a terrestrial sprayer could cost about that as well. Farmers will pay that if the product works and saves money and or time. It is more the cost per acre that is looked at, not the total cost of the product. And he says, I think it'll probably start with agribusiness doing these sorts of things and then eventually be adopted by more farmers. He said, track the adoption of GPS in agriculture. It took quite some time, but now you don't even have to drive. Just get your DVD player out and relax. Tractor does the rest. Self-driving tractors all over the place. Thank you, Brent.
That is, I'll tell you what, man, they're the people who listen to this show are way smarter than me.
And me too, man. Yeah. The collective intelligence of the entire audience of this show is daunting. To be honest,
I'm happy to be but a simple court jester that hopefully delights, informs, and entertains them when they are not ruling the world with their massive intellect.
Well, and that's what I love is like Brent brings the Agra knowledge, and I'm sure he benefits from some other knowledge that some other viewer writes in with, and et cetera, et cetera. So it all pools together like that. And yeah, we're lucky enough to be allowed to be the ringleaders of this, but that is fantastic. Thank you for writing in, Brent. And thank you, Justin Robert Young. You're up to stuff, man. How's the contender going?
It's going to everybody's mailbox. That's where it's going. If you back the contender, then it is on its way to you. All levels. A lot of the top levels have already received them. That's because those came directly from us. Thanks to Amazon's fulfillment and shipping system, we are getting all the rest of them out there. They should be in your hands, if not by tomorrow, then next week for sure. Thank you, everybody, for backing it. I got a chance to play the game with Anthony Carboni last night at a bar, and even in a crowded, loud bar that happened to have the same red lighting as is the type on the cards, making them very hard to read. It was a hilarious time. I had such a fun experience. Go ahead and get this for yourself. Thecontender.us. You certainly don't need to know anything about politics to play it and enjoy it. It is just for either somebody who is a politics nerd in your life, or if you are just continually flummoxed by how people can stand these blowhards, this is the game for you. TheContender.us.
Just like a real candidate, you don't need to know anything, and you can make people laugh.
Absolutely.
TheContender.us. Also, Jury to Legend, I heard about. Go, man, go.
Jory to Legend. Me and Jocelyn Moffat, we have formed ourselves a little Hearthstone support group. We meet twice a week, and we discuss our pathway to the highest ranks of Hearth Heaven, the vaunted legend positioning on the ladder. So we'll see. I'm at I'm climbing. I'm at 14. I didn't get a chance to play as much as I wanted to yesterday, but follow on the hashtag Jory2Legend, or watch our videos on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JustinRobertYoung.
Of course, if you get value out of this show, all we ask is that you tell somebody about it. Just say, hey, did you check out that Daily Tech News show? If you're willing to and you can afford to, you can give us a little bit of a dollar a month at patreon.com/DTNS or dailytechnewsshow.com/support. Or you could help out other members of the community. Go to Amazon and buy The Internet is Like a Snowblower and 200 other things I got wrong about tech this year, which is from Mike Range, who does our Saturday blog post on dailytechnewsshow.com. Also, go read our Saturday blog post on dailytechnewsshow.com. So much going on, so many ways to express whatever value you get out of the show. Thank you for doing that. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can call us 512-59-DAILY. That's 593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv, and visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Len Peralta and Darren Kitchen. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Bango, jingo, done. Good show.
What should we call it?
What should we call it?
I have ideas. Sorry, I was coughing.
Morning.
No, I was coughing. And I was like, this would be a bad time to come back on the air.
Face off. Take your face off. Comcast doesn't give a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Comcast does a bit on your cap.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks my self-driving tractor's sexy. Is that a big sir in your server?
Or are you just happy to see me?
What do you like, Jenny?
I'm looking in the lower downs here.
Wow. I see you just went straight for Comcast sucks. He's like, meh.
Oh, look,
Just how he feels. We're not saying that we feel that way.
When you're this big, they call you sir. I like that.
Hey, Tech News, don't let me down. Somebody's been watching a trailer today. On, old buddy.
You can't take the bits from me.
Because they're not a non-renewable resource. They're actually not even a thing. They're just data. Doesn't fit the rhyme scheme.
Yeah. Drones marking their territory.
Jerry, you got any favorites?
Let me open up Showbot.
Sherbet.
Vanilla Showbot.
Showbot.
Lemon Showbot. Tasty. The self-driving car wars have officially begun.
Begun the official self-driving car wars have.
Car wars.
Nah.
The Baidu Menace.
Isn't that all of Velocity? Car Wars.
Car Wars. Revenge of the Stick Shift.
Oh, that's going away, like the dodo.
Revenge of the Stick Sith.
Pay-ple of Wal-Mart.
Oh, that's it.
You
Yeah,
like
that's
that one?
Good.
PayPal of Walmart.
Do we go pay-ple the way Fred wrote it? Does that work? That works.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pay-ple of Walmart.
I like that. Oh, great. Thanks, Roger.
What happened?
I'm responding to something I read.
Oh.
That's awesome. And I'm adding it in.
Oh, to your ongoing thing that we were talking about before the show.
Yeah.
¿Quién es más macho? Oh, Justin Robert Young. Everybody's busy today.
I know we're not talking much because we're all doing our jobs.
Somebody's job. I had to go look up that clip from Tombstone after you wrote "I'll be your Huckleberry" the other day.
Yeah. Oh my God. Matt says that all the time, Justin. All the time. I'm your Huckleberry.
W. Scottus 1 does point out that we are deciding not to go with the SEO of a Comcast title. It's true. We have shown a lack of respect for SEO at this show.
Yes.
I apologize to search engine optimizers everywhere. I'm your Huckleberry. Oh, Justin Robert Young is gone.
Was that why he didn't answer me?
Yes.
Okay.
He says Comcast just
That's fair.
failed him. I wasn't even looking at the video. Must have hit his cap. They must have ran out of bits. I find your lack of SEO respect disturbing. Thank you. Dr. Payne, you wrote that as I was saying it, I think, because although there's a lag, so you won't hear it that way, but I looked over after saying it and saw you write that. Climb every optimization. All right, well, we're going to try to get Justin. Well, we won't even try to get him back.
No,
I don't think he's going to come back.
Yeah.
We'll need him back because we're totally not going to record an episode for December 31st here in a few minutes. But I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Goodbye, Ellie.